U.S. President Barack Obama will give his final State of the Union address Tuesday evening. This year's speech is expected to focus on the future with only a few policy proposals. CCTV's Jessica Stone has been looking back at his past promises, filled and unfilled. Jessica.
And Asiye, U.S. President Barack Obama obviously overseeing an economic turnaround with unemployment going from 10% down to 5%, but he also promised to end the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and there are still U.S. troops there.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
Barack Obama took office in 2009 with the United States fighting 2 wars overseas and facing recession and rising unemployment at home. A month later, he signed a $787 billion stimulus package.
The state of our economy calls for action, bold and swift, and we will act.
A year later, with unemployment at 9.8%, Obama proposed health care and financial reforms. He also made this pledge.
We will have all of our combat troops out of Iraq by the end of this August.
U.S. soldiers wouldn't leave Iraq until the end of 2011, and Obama would order 3,500 back 4 years later. Yet 2010 did bring the passage of both health care and financial reforms.
Over time, go ahead and push.
It would also bring about the surge of 30,000 U.S. troops to Afghanistan. Still, a remnant force will stay past his presidency. 2011's address began by remembering a congresswoman almost lost to gun violence. Obama would try and fail to further restrict gun sales through legislation, forcing him to tighten enforcement of what is already on the books. In 2011, he would also make a similarly doomed effort to pass an immigration reform law.
I strongly believe that we should take on, once and for all, the issue of illegal immigration.
But when a congressional effort sputtered, Obama unilaterally expanded deferred deportations. The move is still tied up in U.S. courts. In 2012, Obama promised stiffer Iran sanctions, which Congress passed, and tougher trade enforcement.
I'm announcing the creation of a trade enforcement unit that will be charged with investigating unfair trading practices in countries like China.
A U.S. trade report shows the agency filed hundreds of Chinese subsidy complaints at the WTO and 28 countervailing duty orders by the end of 2014. Obama also began a pattern of unilateral action to fight climate change, culminating in the Paris Global Climate Change Accord in 2015.
After years of grueling recession, our businesses have created over 6 million new jobs.
As the U.S. economy improved, Obama began his second term focused on turning the page from military conflict to diplomatic engagement. November 2013 would bring an interim agreement with Iran to lift sanctions in exchange for rolling back its nuclear program.
For the sake of our national security, we must give diplomacy a chance to succeed.
Negotiations would last for more than a year, resulting in an agreement in March 2015. But Obama's calls to close the prison for terror suspects in Cuba remains outstanding.
I will not relent in my determination to shut it down.
And the U.S. Congress, of course, has blocked funding for any detainee transfers to U.S. courts or prisons, Asiye. The White House says it does believe it does need Congress's help to close Gitmo.
CCTV's Jessica Stone in Washington for us. Thank you, Jessica.